We call today's public safety meeting to order on May 1st, 2025. So we stand for the pledge, please. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have approval of the minutes from April 3rd, 20?
First.
Agenda, my
We
bad.
have one addition to the agenda. Move it.
I'd like to move that we amend the agenda to add a CCAB appointment
Under miscellaneous.
under miscellaneous, please.
Motion to add that as an approval. Second. Supported. Yes. Thank you. Now approval of minutes for March.
Oh, yes, you need to vote.
Oh, vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's downhill from here. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes
I'll
from?
make that motion.
Motion is supported. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried to approve the minutes. We now have a portion of limited public comment. Is there someone who'd like to come to the podium? Do not see any at this. There will be another option toward the end. Sheriff's Office report, number 6 on our agenda.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the April highlights, April 2nd, we had a hit and run, fleeing and eluding warrant. Deputies was dispatched to a hit and run crash on April 2nd. This occurred in Delta Township. The suspect vehicle was located and would not stop for deputies who terminated the pursuit. We received a tip a short time later and were able to locate the passenger who was in the vehicle. He was arrested on outstanding warrants. We were able to determine the identity of the driver, and on April 3rd, we located and arrested him on several charges, the driver, that is. April 5th, we had a suicidal, carrying a concealed weapon, resisting and obstructing individual. We got dispatched to a suicidal male who had left the house with a gun. The male made suicidal comments and said he was going to do suicide by cop. He was found in a vehicle in a church parking lot in Delta Township. When deputies pulled into the parking lot, the male exited the car with a handgun in his hand. Deputies ordered him to drop the gun, and he complied. He was taken into custody and taken to a local hospital for evaluation. On the same date, we had attempted unauthorized driving away of an automobile, resisting and obstructing. Deputies were dispatched to Delta Square Apartments, 5000 block of West Michigan, on a report of 3 subjects trying to break into a Hyundai vehicle. Deputies surrounded the location and walked in towards them. When the deputy first made contact, they all fled on foot. Another deputy tased one of them. The other 2 were pursued toward Michigan Avenue, where was another deputy waiting. 3 of the 4 suspects were located. They were all juveniles and turned over to their parents. We'll be requesting charges on all of them. April 7th, deputies were dispatched to a bomb threat to a business at the 2900 block of South Canal. Deputy Studley and K9 Roscoe and 2 MSP K9 teams cleared the building. The threat was sent to an employee via text. The phone number was traced to some computer app out of an out-state phone company. You would think with all the technology we have in this country, we can't catch these individuals. April 13th, deputies were dispatched to a suicidal male walking on Saginaw and Waverly who was reported to be trying to get hit by vehicles. We located him in a field near Bon Air. When we made contact, he assaulted the deputies. He was taken to a local hospital for an evaluation. We will also be requesting charges for assaulting the deputy. Deputies were dispatched to a shots fired call at the Red Roof Inn. The suspect is a lighter skinned black male, long braided hair, tied in a ponytail down to his waist. He had a beard, glasses, wearing a light gray hoodie and black pants. He was looking into a vehicle in the parking lot. After a few minutes, a white male and a white female came out, and the two males started arguing back and forth. They appeared to know each other. The white male gets into the vehicle, and the suspect fired one shot from a black handgun into the ground or at the tire. We were unsure of where. We have several witnesses on video footage. The investigation is ongoing. April 22nd, another suicidal attempt. Deputies responded to a report of a suicidal person at Royston and Vermontville Highway. The female caller came across a 17-year-old trying to hang himself in a tree. She left after the kid agreed to come down from the tree. She went back into the house while we were en route and advised he was in a tree with a rope around his neck and was going to jump. Deputies were now close and arrived before he jumped. One deputy held the kid up while the other deputy jumped on the hood of the patrol car to reach out and cut the rope. The juvenile was transported to a local hospital for treatment. Make a lot of calls to the hospitals with these calls. April 23rd, deputies responded to a fire at the 800 block of Brookside Drive. Deputies arrived on scene first and started to evacuate people from the third floor apartment building. April 24th, there was a bomb threat. A second bomb threat was reported at the same building in the 2900 block of South Canal. K-9 team searched and cleared the building with no bomb was found. Not as busy a month as it has been in the past, but I expect it's coming up with graduations coming up and the summer months being warm. So any questions for me? Thank you.
Are there any more details about the incident that was Roxanne Township
What call?
on Cochrane?
I don't know what call you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll bring up the press release to ask for more questions. Maybe I'll just ask in a couple of weeks when I have a better handle on my questions then.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheriff. Next on the agenda, we have a report from Central Dispatch.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Francis DeVetter. I am the Deputy Director at Eaton County Central Dispatch. We have April is Telecommunicator Week is during the month of April, and it is when we celebrate all the achievements of the telecommunicators in our building. So we did have an award ceremony during Telecommunicators Week. We did invite families. I'm going to go over some of the awards because they're pretty impressive. We have our first award we have is called the Stacy Lynn Sprouse Award. Stacy was a dispatcher who tragically passed away on the way to work in 2005. She was on the way to work in a snowstorm and got in a terrible accident in Jackson County. And she's a pretty special person, and so we honor her through an award. Our executive assistant, Teresa Hart, received that award. The Distinguished Character Award went to telecommunicator Nicholas Smith. The Above and Beyond Award went to Supervisor Brian Jones. Customer Service went to telecommunicator Katie Hennessy. And the Team Award was, we had a pretty high-risk pursuit and an officer-involved shooting that the team worked, and it was a pretty stressful event, so we issued an award to them for that. We also had our Years of Service Awards. Telecommunicator Mike Bilkowski's been here for 20 years. Telecommunicator Brianna Shaw's been here for 5, and telecommunicator Kaylee Cavender's been here for 5. We had 3 CPR saves. This is actual CPR where people leave the hospital after the telecommunicator does CPR over the phone. Madison Hewer, Jess Nunham, and telecommunicator Nick Smith were awarded CPR saves. We had 3 Stork Awards, which is when a child is born over the phone. Kaylee Cavender, Megan DeClerc, and Ashley Wanacott received Stork Awards. And then Life-Saving Awards, Alyssa Thorne was for a house fire where she was able to get people out of the house safely. Telecommunicator Kaylee Cavender was for a cruise control that was stuck on in a car, and she was able to use one of our EMD cards and get the person to stop their car after their cruise control was stuck on. And then Katie Hennessy took a call where someone had seriously injured themselves with a chainsaw and was able to use a tourniquet over the phone and save their life. So Telecommunicator Week is the time of year where we get to celebrate what our dispatchers do on the daily, and I just wanted to make sure we highlighted that. We do have 14 fully trained dispatchers. We have 1 in training right now with experience, and we have 1 vacant position. We did have 1 telecommunicator resign for another opportunity. And we do have 1, we are gonna have to try to fill that vacant position. We do have 6 fully trained supervisors. To bump back to Telecommunicator Week, the theme of our week was Disney. It's kind of fun to do the impossible, was the Disney theme. Thanks to the Fire Chiefs Association in Eaton County, they were able to provide us with some money to take both of our shifts bowling with the money donated by the Fire Chiefs Association, so we do appreciate that. And that is pretty much all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Have any questions either? I see no questions. Thank you, France.
Thank you.
Next agenda would be the Emergency Management Department report.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just to highlight a few things from the last month, I will be brief. Doing a lot of work down in the Olivet area right now, working directly with Amy Hupid-Baker, who is the city clerk down there. A lot of interest to generate what we call a support emergency operations plan that talks to the county emergency operations plan. And the city of Olivet is interested in kind of executing one of those. So we've been working with them back and forth and actually have a staff meeting with them later next month to talk about any sort of last minute revisions, and then it'll go to the mayor and the city council for approval is the idea. And we'll walk them through what that all looks like. Also continue our relationship with the University of Olivet, working with their criminal justice program. They frequently have us come in, give talks about kind of what it is, what we do, how we coordinate across these different architectures and structures of kind of the full emergency management and disaster needs. And we did some more work with them this last month. The big thing, though, the big project this last month was that Michigan Emergency Management Assistance Compact deployment. So I got a phone call early April from Montmorency County up north. So if you aren't familiar, 12 counties up north sustained some severe damages from a major ice storm up there. All were declared disaster areas by the governor, and we fully expect them to be declared at the federal level too by the president. But got a call saying Montmorency County does not have an emergency manager right now. It is the board chair handling all the responsibilities for this disaster. Are you willing to go help under a MEMAC agreement? MEMAC, again, being the Michigan Emergency Management Assistance Compact. So after kind of conversing with Connie, I went, 4 personnel from Oakland County went, a person from Livingston County went, and another person from Saginaw County went, and we went to basically just give them some organization and structure, which is something that they were desperately needing. They were doing okay, but they just don't know what they don't know, and so we kind of walked them through a lot of different processes and procedures and things that they needed to be having in place in order to kind of get over the hump of the disaster, if you will. So we were up there for, I was up there for 6 days. The team in its entirety stayed up for about a week and a half. But a lot of devastation, quite a disaster area up there. They're going to be doing debris management for months up there. And that's really what one of my roles was. I started off as their finance section chief, so I was tracking their burn rates and their equipment costs and their personnel costs and all these things. And that segued into kind of building out a debris management and a debris monitoring program for them, kind of ad hoc on the fly, if you will, which is kind of an interesting piece that they're now going to be carrying on through some consultants going forward for the next few months. But quite a disaster up there. Eaton County is a MEMAC member, so that's something that could certainly be reciprocated later on by other counties and municipalities if that's something that we ever needed, and I kind of tucked that away in my back pocket, if you will. But MEMAC allows all my time, travel, everything to be reimbursed back to the county, which I think is really important too. But all the language in there allows for that, and that was one of the purposes of formulating that agreement by the governor back in 2006, and then the county adopted that in 2007, and many other counties and jurisdictions adopted that over the course of the years too. MEMAC is undergoing a revision. I've actually talked about that here at this meeting before, and I was asked to be a part of that work group back about 6 months ago, updating the language, updating some different processes and procedures. That current agreement is still on, or is on hold, that updated agreement. But our one back that we entered into back from 2007 is still relevant, and we can make it meaningful for us. So that was a big chunk of last month that was really proud to, again, be a person from Eaton County up there kind of helping them out with what they needed. Just to close out, I'm going to bring Megan Randall up. So I often come to this meeting and tout our internship program. And I firmly believe that our internship program is a model, right? I mean, people frequently ask how we design it, how we structure it, what activities that we bring our intern to, how do we incorporate them into project management and other things that we're working on. So always proud to bring on a university student, and we selected Megan Randall from Saginaw Valley State University this year to be our intern from May through August, September, depending on some scheduling. But I'll have her come up and just kind of give her the once over and introduce herself, who she is, kind of what her college path is right now. So, Megan.
Hello everyone, my name is Megan Randall and I'm currently attending Saginaw Valley State University where I am majoring in criminal justice with a minor in psychology. I'll be graduating this August with my degree. I just wanted to express my gratitude and appreciation for the opportunity to work alongside Eaton County Emergency Management, to be their intern for the summer, and just a chance to learn more about emergency management and public safety and how I can use that towards my degree and in my future career. So thank you guys, I'm really excited for the opportunity.
Welcome, Megan. Yeah.
Well, you always hear me say too, you know, it doesn't have to be an emergency management degree that we're seeking. Criminal justice, sociology, psychology, again, as long as you understand societal systems and understand how systems work, these interconnected pieces to get things moving to solve problems, you'll do really, really well in this field. So excited to have Megan on for the next few months. I really look forward to this time of year every single year, and we'll kind of work through her task book and get her as much experience as we can. But that's all that I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Ryan? I see no questions. Thanks a lot,
Yep,
Ryan.
thanks.
Next on our agenda is Prosecutors Report.
You look lonely.
I feel that way right now.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Doug Lloyd, and I am the Eaton County Prosecutor. Just run over a few highlights for you. During this last month, we had 309 cases that were brought to us. We were noticed to attend 777 hearings, and as of this time, by the end of April, we have 6,739 open cases. Those are cases that we must, are either in the system for us to determine whether we are going to prosecute, or they are actually current cases that are moving through the criminal justice system. We had 274 victim interactions last month, and we generated subpoenas 41 times for 33 cases, meaning that we were generating or asking citizens here in Eaton County to come to court to testify. Those are just some of the highlights of things that we had to do in regards to our responsibilities at the prosecutor's office. I was asked by one of the commissioners a question in regards to some of my comments at our last board meeting in regards to the juvenile lifers that are going to need to be resentenced here in Eaton County. I made a mention at the board meeting that I was expecting that if I was going to actually move forward, and once again, I apologize to the controller because I still have not been able to corner her to actually discuss the numbers on this, but I made the statement that if I move forward with asking that the courts consider the resentence of life without parole, I would expect that it would take about $25,000 per case. And so the question was posed to me, how did we actually get here that we're now having to resentence individuals, sometimes cases that are 40 years old? And how did we get here that I'm actually having to speak to members of your community who are family members of victims and having to tell them that the things that we expressed to them 40 years ago are no longer true? Basically what happened is it began with a court opinion called People versus Parks, which is from 2022, where they said that mandatory life without parole sentences for individuals who were 18 years old at the time of their offense violated the Michigan's Constitution prohibition against cruel or unusual punishment. And they recognized or reasoned that 18-year-olds possess developmental characteristics similar to younger adolescents, including impulsivity and susceptibility to peer pressure. They emphasized the importance of individualized sentencing. And so that basically, following along from a protection that was given in a federal U.S. Supreme Court of Miller versus Alabama, they made it that 18-year-olds would now be subject to having to be considered a special hearing before an individual could be given a mandatory with life. Basically saying that prosecutors will have to come in and show that an individual who murdered another individual is so depraved or cannot be rehabilitated that they should receive mandatory life without parole. And if a prosecutor cannot overcome that, then the courts will make a determination of somewhere between 25 to 40 on the minimum and 60 years at the maximum as a sentence. So the legislature then took that and made it where we used to have, some of you here, not all of you, would have had it that an adult used to be 17. If you were 17 years old in Michigan, you were considered an adult. So the legislature went through after this was created and said, okay, we are going to make it that now officially you must be 18 years old to be considered an adult. Which for most of you, that makes sense, right? You're graduating high school, you can go out and get loans to go to college, you could buy your own car, you could pay for loans in college, you can do any of these things, you can join the military. Basically, the only two items lacking that you can't do as an adult is buy cigarettes or buy alcohol. Now we get to People versus Sarnisky, which is a 2025 holding that just happened this year, where 5 Supreme Court justices out of the 7 decided on their own. They didn't involve the legislature. There were no legislative reasonings. They just decided that they would move the ball again and make it that they extended the reasoning in Parks to individuals who are 19 or 20 years old at the time of their offense, ruling that mandatory juvenile lifers without parole sentences for this age group also violates the Michigan constitutional ban on cruel or unusual punishment. Once again, they argued that there has been scientific research that somehow or another 19 or 20-year-olds are now not actually mature enough or adult enough to actually understand that murder is bad. And so with that movement, it then brought in, for me, I have 3 cases of individuals who were 18 or younger that I have to resentence. And now I have 3 more that are falling under the 19 or 20-year-old. Now, if you ask me personally, I truly disagree with this sentence because in reality, and I'm guessing here, at any given time, the 18 to 20-year-old population in Michigan, since we have a 10 million person population, probably sits between 500,000 to 1 million people, as a guess, of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. And we're talking about 579 individuals who committed murder that fall in that 18 to 20. So if we go on the low side, let's say 500,000 18 to 20-year-olds, there's 500,000 young adults out there who have figured out that murder is bad. 579 couldn't figure it out, but yet because of that, it should be based on that, well, it was an impulse, and we'll have to resentence them. Once again, a determination made by 5 judges on their own, without the legislative input. What that means is that the citizens of your community, now I have to go find them. When I find them, I have to bring them in, and I have to, basically, as I say, rip the Band-Aid of trauma off of them. Because you have to think about it. No matter whether it was 5 years ago, which is one case I have, up to 40 years ago, which unfortunately for this family, it was 2 co-defendants that killed their father, their husband. I have to explain to them that both of those co-defendants now fall under this, and so both of those co-defendants will have to be resentenced. And so, you know, they've moved on in the sense of accepting the fact that their father and their husband will never come back. And they've managed to go on with their lives knowing that. But yet now I've ripped the trauma off with that Band-Aid off of the trauma, because now they're going to have to go into those courtrooms again and face looking at those individuals and wondering, are these individuals going to get out, and am I going to run into them at Myers and look at the person who killed my husband or my father? There's 579 defendants. There's thousands of victims that have been affected by this ruling and will now deal with the trauma of this resentencing. And as your Eaton County prosecutor, I find that wrong. We had laws in place, good laws, and 5 Supreme Court justices decided to change those laws because of their ideologies. And I don't agree with it, but I have to follow it. But following it also means that I will be taking a strong look at arguing to the courts that life without parole is appropriate. Hope that helps in understanding why, when Controller Sobey comes to you and goes, the prosecutor's requesting $200,000 extra money in his budget for this, you'll have some understanding why I'm doing it. I will take questions if you have them. Seeing none, thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, sir.
Is there any option to go into the U.S. Supreme Court to have a ruling on this, or is that just a final?
That's a final. There is no actual federal aspects.
Okay.
The federal Constitution uses the words cruel and unusual. The Michigan Constitution uses cruel or unusual. And the Supreme Court based their decisions off of the word or. That because it was not and, but it was or, it gave them the opportunity to extend this. And to be honest with you, the comments within that Chernisky opinion of 2025, one of the Supreme Court justices, Justice Bernstein, suggested that the age should be 25. Now, I mean, in all reality, there's a few men who sit on this board. Some of you are married. Your wives may look at you at your current age and say that you are not a mature man adult. So, to all of a sudden start putting an age number on it, I could be looking at 50 years that, men aren't mature enough by then. And so to all of a sudden move it because a few scientists said, well, that's the research, when I can look at the common sense aspects and go that, 500,000 men of the age bracket or women, 18 and 20 at any given time, don't manage to commit murder. Yeah, I have that argument, so. But no, unfortunately, that's the law of the land.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have next miscellaneous. There is a miscellaneous action.
Melanie's coming
Oh,
up.
Melanie is coming.
Appointment to the Community Corrections Advisory Board.
Good afternoon, everybody. Melanie Achenbach from Eaton County Community Corrections. Thank you for amending the agenda for me this afternoon. Public Act 511, or the Community Corrections Act, requires various stakeholders be seated on the county's Community Corrections Advisory Board. One of these positions is a district court judge. Judge Van Langeveld, who has been serving as the district court judge on the county's Community Corrections Advisory Board, was appointed by the governor to serve on the State Office of Community Corrections Board. And as I want to congratulate Judge Van Liegeveld on her appointment, this leaves a vacancy on our local Community Corrections Advisory Board. I am asking this committee to recommend to the Board of Commissioners the appointment of Judge Felsing to serve on Eaton County's Community Corrections Advisory Board, filling the vacant seat that will be left. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Melanie? No questions? Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, everybody.
Is there a motion to accept this recommendation?
Support.
There's motion and support. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Next on is another chance for a limited public comment.
I wanted to add something at the end here. Next week is Corrections Week, which the undersheriff and I do a cookout barbecue at lunchtime as well as dinner time, hamburgers and hot dogs that we pay for, not the county. And the following week is Law Enforcement Week, where once again, we do cookouts Tuesday and Wednesday, lunchtime and dinner. That'll be up to Delta Township. So you're more than welcome to come and enjoy some burgers or hot dogs. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Greg Allgaier. I'm a business agent for the Police Officers Association of Michigan. I'm here with my colleague, John Pignataro. We both represent all the sworn deputies and correction officers and clerks at the Eaton County Sheriff Department. I'm here in support of all of these folks and would like to give credit to not only the sheriff and his administration, but Ms. Sobey and her department, because for about the past 10 years, I've had the pleasure of interacting with everyone and really seeing the dedication of our deputies and correction officers and clerks out here. There's a millage coming up, and we cannot impress upon the public, and that's why I'm here. I want to impress upon the public how dedicated these folks are, from the sheriff to the controller's office and everyone in the department. The sworn deputies, on the road especially, are constantly facing danger. That does not mean the correction officers aren't either. But those sworn deputies, because of the sheriff and his administration and the training that they receive, have not only protected themselves in precarious, life-threatening situations, but that extends to the public. And that's why we're here, because we need the public support on this millage so that everyone can live safely in the community, so that, there's been many recent critical incidents, but one that hits me hard is Deputy Van Dorpy. That was right after or during COVID. This deputy, because of the training she received, that was muscle memory of 20 years. That does not come without a cost. The sheriff, the undersheriff make sure these folks are trained properly. She not only saved her life, but probably saved many lives that day. And that's what our folks do every day. There is a local labor market that is much more attractive than being a deputy or a correction officer, or for that matter, a clerk. But these folks stay here because they live here and they're dedicated. So we're calling upon the Eaton County community, because that's what we all are, to support this millage. It's pretty nominal, and it's going to protect your families. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Brad Richmond. I'm the Executive Director of the Capital City Labor Program, which is the labor union that represents the county's animal control officers. Admittedly, it seems a bit premature to be here addressing something that at this point is speculative, right? The possibility that the county's voters do not approve the May 6th public safety millage. Yet it feels necessary, as there is an increasing perception amongst the union, the county's employees, and the public that decisions regarding what cuts will be made should the millage not pass have already been made. Animal control is not a luxury. It's a fundamental component of public safety. Your animal control officers respond to and address aggressive and stray animals. They manage bites. They investigate animal cruelty and hoarding, prevent the spread of diseases like rabies, and support responsible pet ownership. Their work ensures not only the humane treatment of animals, but allows children to play safely in their neighborhoods and citizens to enjoy the county's parks without the threat of uncontrolled or dangerous animals. They ensure residents can sit on their porch and read the newspaper or drink a cup of coffee without the nuisance of barking dogs. Eliminating animal control officers means their work falls on someone else. But who? The Sheriff's Office road patrol deputies who, under the same proposal, will have their jobs eliminated. The county's cities and villages whose police officers don't have the authority to enforce the county's animal control ordinance. Certainly, nobody here believes that the state police will address animal control concerns. We understand that should the millage not pass, difficult decisions will need to be made. Eliminating animal control officers cannot be one of them. Animal control is not a budget line item. It's a service to the county's residents that's essential to the safe and quiet enjoyment of their homes, farms, schools, parks, and neighborhoods. In conclusion, I want to be very clear about something. It is not the union's position that animal control should be preserved because county deputies can't or don't want to perform the function. While our organization doesn't represent any other employees at the sheriff's office, we do represent employees at jurisdictions including Grand Ledge, Eaton Rapids, and Potterville, who rely on animal control, the sheriff's office, and the dedicated deputies that are employed by the sheriff's office. This isn't about pitting anyone against one another. This is about the board's duty to the public safety and well-being of its residents. After all, public safety is perhaps the single most important function of government. That responsibility remains regardless of the outcome of any ballot measure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chris Coleman, Eaton County resident. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Once again, I stand before you to emphasize the vital importance of public safety in our county, particularly the role that the Eaton County Sheriff's Office plays in upholding public safety. The responsibilities carried out by our law enforcement professionals extend far beyond their badge. Support us or not, we are the backbone of public safety in this community. We take more calls for service than anyone in this county. It's a fact. We are the backbone. Our people are the backbone. Our dedicated staff members are not just officers. They are guardians of our neighborhoods, our roadways, our community as a whole. They confront danger with bravery, but they also offer kindness and understanding to those in distress every day. Every day. That's what they do. Public safety in this community goes far beyond just showing up and doing a job. It involves empowering, protecting, and serving the public. And I thank our staff, some of them are here today, for doing just that every day. You don't hear it enough, and that's why I'm here, to thank you for what you do. At the same time, we must also acknowledge the support we receive from the community members who empower us. They give us the ability to serve. That's why we're here. I thank them for that. The current situation our county government is faced with, and especially the sheriff's office, is we stand to lose road patrol, like was just said. We stand to lose animal control, it was just stated. It's not the fault of the hardworking men and women who wear our uniform and badge. It is not their fault. And I have a difficult time remaining silent and allowing people out there to demean them, to understate what we mean to this whole community, to spread falsehoods and the belief of not needing our office. I'll tell you, my coworkers deserve much better. Service is truly in their hearts. They've dedicated themselves to this county and public safety. Why else, facing what they're facing, would they check into service? Let me say it again, check into service every single day to serve their community. They deserve a voice, they deserve support. We're blamed for the financial situation of the county. We're blamed. Our office is blamed. I hear it all the time. Yet over the years, our employees, we have endured significant cuts to our benefits, to our contracts. Every year, our office gives back money. We do not spend our entire budget every year. And yet we're blamed. Don't blame the hardworking men and women in this office. They are not the problem. Although they are a solution to many issues. They really are. They are merely bystanders when it comes to budgets, finances, and millages. Another thing I hear a lot are people saying, I don't need the police, I got a gun. I'll protect myself. Well, let me tell you what public safety really is, what it really encompasses. And I'm just gonna name a few things because I have a time limit. What about traffic crashes, animal issues, overdoses, traffic enforcement, domestics, frauds, suicidals, mental health related calls? I can keep going. But how about the 150 allegations of abuse against children that were referred to our office since January 1st of this year from Child Protective Services that require an investigation? What about them? Some people are saying they don't need the police, never will. Apparently they can see the future. That's great. Good for you. But what about the needs of our community as a whole? If this millage fails, many will suffer from all walks of life. Call it a scare tactic, I know people will. I call it truth. I call it reality that we are faced with, an unfortunate one. If we are eliminated, the community will face increased criminal activity. It's not a scare tactic, it's a common sense conclusion. If it fails, it will significantly undermine the stability, safety, value, and well-being of our entire county. That's the reality for our community. That is the reality. Our community members and local leaders need to unite, preserve, and secure public safety. The time to do it is right now. I'm not talking 20 years ago, not talking decisions of the past. I'm talking a decision that's coming in the next week. Now is the time. In closing, whether you support us or not, whether the community supports us or not, if we are given the privilege to continue to serve, when that day comes, that they need us, or their friends need us, we will be there. We will be there to put their safety over our own, because that is what we represent, and we are ready to serve. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, we will adjourn.